Is this satire? I just need to read one more chapter. On the edge of your seat the entire time? Like, isn't that a little bit of a plot hole? Hello, and welcome to the first reading vlog of 2024. In today's reading vlog, I thought it would be fun to, get a head start on some of the 2024 arcs that I've been sent over the last few months. I've just been waiting for the new year to read these because I don't know why, sometimes I don't like to read books that are publishing in like future years that far in advance. So in my head, I was like, I have to wait until at least January to read these books. So that's what I did. And in today's reading vlog, I'm going to be reading 3 2024 arcs that currently still haven't been published. Like, I think all 3 of these books are coming out in March and April this year. The first book that I'm going to be reading for this video is Expiration Dates by Rebecca Serle, and this is from the same author as In 5 Years, as well as One Italian Summer. I was a really huge fan of In 5 Years when I read it a few years ago, and then I thought One Italian Summer was just okay, but this one sounds especially interesting to me because in this story, we're following this protagonist who she gets these little like slips of paper that has a man's name and then a number next to it, and it's like the universe telling her how long she's gonna be with each man that she dates. And so she'll just like receive a little piece of paper that says like this man's name and then the number like 3 next to it, and she'll be like, oh, I'm only gonna be with him for like 3 weeks. And it sounds absolutely fascinating, and the whole premise of this book is that she goes on a date with this guy named Jake, and then the piece of paper that she gets doesn't have a number next to it, so she's like, oh my god, does this mean like he's my soulmate, like he's the one? I just think this sounds so incredibly interesting. It kind of reminds me of that Black Mirror episode, like Hang the DJ. It sounds like it could be something really cool, and I feel like Rebecca Serle, she always has these romance books that just have a little hint of something more like magical in them. This one publishes on March 5th, so I can't wait to finally get around to this one. And then I'm also going to be reading this book called The Band. This is the one that comes out on April 16th, but this one is more of a literary fiction book that I have heard so many people have been recommending this one to me specifically because in this story we follow a K-pop group who's called The Band, and in this story we're following the eldest member and the visual of a Korean boy band group at the apex of global superstardom, but when his latest solo single accidentally leads to controversy, he's abruptly cancelled. And then this is kind of like a literary fiction story that's supposed to be darkly funny. It says it includes portrayals of mental health and public obsession, fandom, and cancel culture. It just sounds like something that I would really enjoy, so I can't wait to get around to reading this one. And then lastly, I'm gonna be reading Kill for Me, Kill for You. This is actually an internationally best-selling author, and he's the same author as that book 13 that I read a few years ago now that I really enjoyed. And I've just been hearing non-stop praise for this one. Like, a lot of people really seem to be loving this one, which is making me so excited. This one is also going on sale March 19th, and this one is a thriller that takes place on a dark evening in New York City's Upper West Side. It says 2 strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, they realize they have so much in common, especially loneliness and an intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. As they talk into the night, they come up with the perfect plan. If you kill for me, I'll kill for you. So it's kind of like a strangers on a train type of situation. Honestly, just the premise of this is so like giving strangers on a train. It kind of sounds like The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, which is one of my all-time favorite thrillers. So just knowing that that's the premise, like that's one of my favorite things, is the like kill for me and I'll kill for you kind of trope in a thriller. Like, I absolutely eat that shit up. These are the 3 books that I'm gonna be reading for this reading vlog, and I can tell you right now, one of them went very well and one of them was a 1 star. I actually had my first 1 star of the year in this reading vlog. Can you believe? Like, this better not set the tone for the entirety of 2024 for me. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, let me send you back to about a week ago when I started reading these. Hello. I wanted to go ahead and film the first update because I have started on Expiration Dates. Last night I started reading this and I got 62 pages in, so not too far yet, but I do already have some thoughts, so I thought I would update you. And so in this book, my thoughts so far are that the writing style feels very simplistic. And I kind of mean that in like a little bit of a negative way. Like, it's just a very simple kind of like basic writing style. Like, there's really no depth to this writing at all. It kind of reads like an early like Taylor Jenkins Reid book, or like, like the kind of writing where like every character that gets introduced, it has to like describe their outfit and describe what they're wearing. I don't know, the writing itself has like not been my favorite so far. I mean, it's making it very easy to read, but it's also just a little bit simple. I also think this main character, like, she's kind of giving me I'm not like the other girls energy so far. I mean, she's had a few different quotes that I like underlined where she kind of says something along the lines of like, oh, well, my love life is not like other people because I never get the unexpected news of a breakup. Like I always know that it's coming, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's true for her, but she's also just the energy she's giving me is like that I'm not like the other girls. Like I have such a different life from other people. One thing that I'm not sure how I feel about in this book is that in between the chapters, because like the whole premise of the book, right, is that she's meeting this guy named Jake. When she goes on this first date with the guy Jake, she just gets a note that says the name Jake and it doesn't have anything else on the note. So she's thinking, holy shit, I've met my soulmate. Like this is the guy that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. And so in the very first chapter, you're reading about her first date with this guy Jake, and that's kind of like the main storyline that you're following, is like trying to figure out if this guy Jake is her like number one connection in life, like if this is the guy she's going to be with forever. But then in between the chapters of like her and Jake, we'll get these random chapters that are like Martin 3 days, and then we get to read about this like short 3-day relationship that she had with this guy named Martin, and like we read about some of the past relationships that she's had, and I just don't know if I care a whole lot. I guess it's more there just for the purpose of like learning about how this works, you know, like learning about how the timer works and how like she's come to the understanding of like, oh well, I'm only gonna get 3 days with this guy. Like I guess that's the only reason it's really there, is to kind of explain more about how it works. But I also feel like there might be a little bit of a plot hole with this thing, because it's like she'll like date this one guy and be like, oh well, 6 months, like she finds out right away that 6 months is how long she's gonna be with him, and in her head she's like, that's too long, like I don't really like this guy that much. And it's like, has she never initiated any of these breakups? Like I don't understand, because it's like, okay, if you're with this guy for 6 months, you know you're gonna be with him for 6 months, like what would have happened if you had broken it off sooner? Like, isn't that a little bit of a plot hole? I don't know, I guess I'm just assuming that she's been the one who's been broken up with every single time, I guess. I also, like, I do like the fact that this book takes place in California. I think that's really cool. It really takes place in, like, the Los Angeles, like, Hollywood. You know, it's really cool because she actually has a job where she, like, works in the film industry, which is something that I'm super invested in. Like, I really love following jobs like this, and if you didn't know, I'm actually originally from California. I lived in California for 20 years. I was born and raised in Southern California, and then I eventually moved to Washington a few years ago. But I do like all of the California talk, but at the same time, it's almost like overkill at this point, because they're constantly talking about California. Like she's constantly describing different places like the Grove and like Sunset Boulevard and Beverly Hills, and they're going to these like comedy shows that are in like downtown Hollywood, and she's always talking about how Hollywood is so much better than New York and like the comparisons between the cities. And like, I get it, it takes place in California, holy shit, I don't need all of that like all of the time. It's just a little bit of overkill for me, I think, because I know why California is great. I've lived there. I don't need descriptions of like every single place of California all the time. But something that I did think was kind of cool is the fact that our love interest dude, Jake, he mentions right in the beginning, he's like, hey, like I'm from the Pacific Northwest, okay, like I'm a Pacific Northwestern boy. And I was like, hey, cool, because now, you know, I'm living in the Pacific Northwest, and he mentions that he's from Seattle. So I'm like, okay, cool, like I actually do kind of like this Jake guy. I'm not too far in yet. I'm hoping that the writing improves or that I get more invested in the story, because so far right now it's feeling kind of lukewarm. It's feeling fine. Today I've been doing some Patreon reading sprints. I'm actually doing the final Patreon reading sprints of 2023 today. That's right, it's still December. I'm starting on my 2024 TBR early because I'm done with my reading for 2023. So I've been filming some of my like end of the year content today, and I'm gonna be editing a lot of those videos today. And so I don't know if I'm gonna have a lot of time to read this before later tonight. But we've also been watching the new season of Fargo. Fargo season 5 has been so freaking good. We've only watched the first 3 episodes so far, so we're probably gonna watch more of that tonight. So I can't wait to get back into Fargo and then hopefully read a little bit more of this later tonight, and I'll update you with more thoughts when I have them.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy to the ones who lost their hope.
Alright, hi, it's the next afternoon. I forgot to bring the book with me. I wanted to update you on my progress because I'm about 130 pages into the book now. Earlier this morning, Rachel and I just filmed the Winterween music video that's gonna be like premiering during Winterween. Like, I am so excited with how it turned out. Even though it was kind of annoying, like it was raining on us almost all morning, but we just made it work. And I just pulled up to the library because I had a few holds that were available and I had some stuff that I needed to return. But damn it, I forgot to bring the book with me because I've still been reading Expiration dates. I read a little bit before bed last night and now I'm about like 130 or maybe 140 pages in. And I'm still really not having a fun time with this book. Like, I am actually very frustrated. I'm almost getting to the point where I'm like, is this gonna be a 1-star read for me? And I would be absolutely shocked, floored, and devastated if my first read of 2024 was a 1-star. Like, are you kidding me? But literally, listen to the way that this book is written, okay? Like, I wrote down a quote and I sent it to my friend Brittany because I was like, is this bitch for real? It says, an actual quote from the book. "How is your pasta?" Jake asks. "Good," I say. "Do you want a bite?" He nods. "Yes, please." Jake is not a man who is afraid to say how he feels, to peer into a bowl of pasta and accept a bite. Like, that is an actual quote from the book. Like, is this satire? Am I supposed to feel some type of way about this man because he asked for a bite of your pasta? Like, I'm just so confused on what this author is trying to make me feel. I feel like this character is just very annoying. Like, she's so one-dimensional and so frustrating to read about. She keeps bitching about like the most stupid things. Like, she keeps being like, well, Britas aren't real. Like, that's just a scam and like tap water is where it's at. And then he like talks about how he loves soccer and he invites her to like one of his like co-ed things and she's like, oh no, I don't do any exercise because I don't sweat now that I have a good hair regimen. But then it's also like, at the same time, it keeps talking about how thin and skinny she is, but like, oh, she doesn't exercise because she doesn't like to sweat. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. I feel like this main character in general, like, she is just so one-dimensional. She doesn't have any personality outside of the fact that she's skinny and she lives in LA. It's actually insane how many times this book has brought up LA and how great it is to live in LA and all that LA has to offer. And like, there's so much culture in LA. Like, LA is just like the fucking best. And like, I can tell you firsthand, LA is not that great. There's a reason why I left California. I did not like Los Angeles. And like, the fact that she keeps comparing LA to like every other city in the country and trying to act like it's the best city, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. LA is not that great. I feel like anybody who's from LA could tell you that LA is just not that great. It's not that great. It's almost just like comical at this point. Like, it's kind of funny. It's like the author is trying so hard to convince the reader that LA is like where it's at, you know? And I feel like this main character, like, every single conversation that she has like with her friends is only about her relationships. Like, she literally doesn't even have a personality. Like, does she have any personality? Does she do anything else besides talk about the guys that she's dating? I also feel like the flashback chapters at this point, like, they just feel completely pointless because we get so many flashback chapters of like Stuart or like Martin or like these men that she dated for like however long period of time. Anyways, I know you're probably like, well then just DNF the book, but like, this is the first book I'm trying to read for the new year. Like, I'm not just gonna DNF the first book that I'm reading, and I'm also just kind of curious. Like, I do want to see how this story ends because of this whole, like, you know, is Jake supposed to be the guy that she's supposed to be with, or are all of the notes that she's receiving just complete and total bullshit? I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm gonna try to finish it when I get home because I have like less than 100 pages left at this point, but I am not enjoying it. And like, how crazy would that be if the first book that I read in the new year is a 1-star? Like, I really hope this doesn't set the pace for like the rest of this year. But anyways, I thought I would open. I got some mail before I left the apartment because I checked the mail and we had some packages there. This one is from Penguin Random House, so I'm not entirely sure what this one is. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, so this one is from Berkeley Romance. It's the breakup tour. Oh my gosh. This is like one of my most anticipated books of next year. I'm so excited for this. It says, a rising star musician has a second chance at love with an old flame she remembers all too well in this swoony romance. Did you just see them drop all too well right there? Like, this is so Taylor Swift inspired. And then I also got a package from Amazon that I don't recognize what this is. So I'm thinking maybe, perhaps somebody sent this one. Oh my the new Heartstopper! Oh my god! Oh my god, this is from Jenna. That is so sweet. Thank you so much, Jenna. Oh my gosh, this just made my whole afternoon. I'm finally gonna be able to read Heartstopper Volume 5. Maybe I should like read this and finish this first, and then that'll be my first read of 2024, because I know that this shit is gonna hit. This shit is gonna hurt me. That's what's gonna happen right now. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jenna. This is so kind. Oh my gosh, I also got a little Christmas card from Alicia, which Alicia is the most kind human being. She's the one who always like makes the bookmarks for us for like Winterween or Summerween. She She is so sweet. Oh my god, how cute is this? She sent a friendship bracelet that literally says Gabby Reads on it, and then she also sent one that says, was it over? Because like one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs right now is It Over Now? Like that song is top tier to me in every way. Oh my god, how cute is this? And she sent some for Rachel too that says Remarkably Rach on it, and it says Ivy because Ivy is Rachel's favorite Taylor Swift song. Like, dude, this is so cute. Thank you so much, Alicia. Like, you were always just so freaking kind.
I get why you left. Small-minded people sure know how to drink. I came to the party, I laughed at the jokes you made. I wish that I hadn't, 'cause now the joke's on me. I didn't come here just so I could watch you make a mess. I didn't come here to ugly cry in my favorite dress. So what the hell were you thinking then when you kissed your lips?
Hey, hello, I am back with another update because I have read some things. I decided to correct the mistake of the universe of trying to start this as like my first read of 2024 because this did not go very well. So I decided instead to read Heartstopper Volume 5, and this graphic novel is the 5th graphic novel in the Heartstopper series, which is a series that I am just absolutely obsessed with. I love Nick and Charlie so much. I did end up putting a few different tabs in this volume because there were some moments that just really hit me and they were really beautiful. And I'm glad that this is technically gonna be my first book that I finished in 2024 instead of this, even though this was the first one that I started. I technically finished this book first. Like, this is the energy that I need going into 2024. I know that it doesn't really matter, but it matters to me, and so I'm glad that this ended up being my first read of the year. This one was probably like a 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. I really enjoyed it, and there is actually going to be a 6th volume. For some reason, I thought Volume 5 was going to be the last one, but there is going to be a 6th one, so that's very exciting that we have that to look forward to. And then shortly after reading Heartstopper, I finished reading Expiration dates, and unfortunately, you know, it is truly unfortunate and heartbreaking, but I think I am actually going to give this 1 star because this book just continued to be terrible. I am actually shocked. If people are giving this high reviews, like, I am actually shocked and I don't understand. Because not only is this, like, main character so obnoxious and I think the book is written so poorly, but also, like, the direction that the story ends up going, like, is this what we were supposed to have wanted? I am just so confused. Like, I don't like the way that the story went. I feel like, especially in those last 100 pages, there's something that, to me, it feels like it comes out of nowhere, and it's something that I feel like the author is trying desperately to make the reader cry, or like to make the reader invested enough to cry and be emotional. I thought there was a plot twist, if we can even call it that, towards the end. That was the most obvious shit, and I thought it was so obvious and just so unwanted. Like, that is so not the direction I wanted this story to go in, and just in general, like, I was just very upset throughout the second half of this book. Like, it did not get better. Towards the end, I would just started skimming it because I didn't care very much, and it was honestly more just like I was hate reading it at this point because I knew that I wasn't gonna like this book. Like, there was no point in me finishing it, but I just wanted to power through it to see how this book would end, and it was just as disappointing as I would have imagined it to be. I only had 6 books in the entire year of 2023 that I gave 1 star to, and here we are very early on in 2024 and I already have my first 1 star of the year. I really want to like spoil this book for you and like tell you all of the crazy shit that happens in this book, but at the same time, because this is an arc that doesn't come out until March, like, I'm not going to spoil this book for you, but I do think what I'm going to do is I'm going to include spoilers in my Goodreads review so that I can block out the spoilers and people don't have to see that if they don't want to, but like, I need to talk about this because, like, what the heck is this book? Like, what a massive disappointment. I can't believe we already had a 1 star. Like, that is such a bummer. And now I just don't know if I'm going to be reading anything more from Rebecca Serle in the future, because even though I liked In 5 Years, you know, I read that so many years ago now. Like, I think I read that in 2019. So now I'm like questioning everything. I'm like, did I even really like that book? Like, was the writing really that good? Anyways, I think I might try to get started on the next book that I want to read for this video. I think I might try to read The Band tonight. Tomorrow morning, I am going with my sister to a doctor's appointment, and we're taking a bunch of different like bags of donations that we have down to like Value Village. Hello, good morning. It is the next morning. I wanted to update you because I have started on the band. I actually just hit page 40. I am currently at the doctor's office with my sister. She's getting her ultrasound done on her kidney today. But this book has been interesting so far. This book is more of a literary fiction that's about a K-pop group. And the story is about how the oldest member of this K-pop group gets canceled. And I guess this book is a book that touches on cancel culture and kind of talking about public obsession and fandom. It sounds like it would be something that would be right up my alley. The first chapter of this book I was absolutely loving. Like, I started annotating right away because I was really enjoying the beginning of this book. This book is obviously like, it's about a K-pop group, but I'm like, this author definitely took some inspiration from BTS with this group, because are you kidding me? As a BTS fan, I'm just noticing a lot of similarities between this fictional group and BTS. They talk about how the group started with like wearing eyeliner and wraparound shades and no one recognized them, and like how they had a really like aggressive start to their group, which was the same for BTS. Like, they started in like, you know, dark clothing and more of like an emo look. It said the youngest one had just walked his 8th grade graduation and he looked like it. It also mentions how, with the exception of their leader, their English was not terrific, which is so ironic because BTS, you know, in BTS, only their leader, Namjoon, he's the only one that speaks fluent English. So like, that's another weird comparison to BTS. And it says how every other collaboration of theirs is a pop anthem with some American icon who only does stadium tours. And I'm like, oh yeah, kind of like Coldplay. And they said there's one in the group who might be mistaken for a lady angel. And I'm like, that's giving major Jimin vibes right there. And they also mention how the oldest member of the group, he did a song about a boy who jumps into the ocean in hopes of becoming a fish. Like, I'm sorry, you mentioned fish? Like, that is so Jin. So I don't know, there are just a lot of similarities between this fictional group and BTS so far, so I am having the time of my life for that reason. But as far as like the general writing of this book goes, I don't know, I'm not really a huge fan of the writing in this so far. I think a main part of why I'm struggling with this writing is because there are so many footnotes almost on every single page. And like, do you see the amount of footnotes that are listed on the bottom of this page? Like, I think footnotes in general are so hit or miss of whether it's something that I enjoy or whether it's something that I find to be kind of annoying. I feel like in this book, sometimes they're kind of funny and then sometimes they're just unnecessary and like way too much. Like, sometimes I feel like these are things that could just be included like in the regular story. Like, I don't think there's a reason to put them down here in the footnotes. So like, that writing style in general is a little bit annoying to me. I've started to like skim the footnotes because I don't think that they're that relevant unless you need a little bit more context for certain like K-pop things that you might not understand maybe. But then also the writing in general, it feels very disconnected. Like, I don't know how to explain this writing style. It's like one of those like literary fiction writing styles where like we don't really get in the head of like any characters. It's more just like we're observing these people and making observations about their life, and there's this distance between us and the characters, you know? Like, I'm finding it difficult to get invested in the story because of the way that it's written. And like, even though it talked about this group, like the boy group right at the beginning of this book, shortly after we finish talking about our boy group that we're following in this book, it goes into like this side story about this girl group that I guess their record label had signed right before them, which is, you know, also similar to BTS if you know their history. But so far, I don't know, like the last 20 pages that I've been reading has been about this girl group, and now there's all these other characters being introduced that I don't know who they are, and I feel very disconnected from a lot of these characters. So like, I don't know, I'm not obsessed with the writing so far. Like, just the writing in general is making me feel like I don't think I could give this book like higher than 3 stars, just because the writing style is very difficult and kind of annoying and hard to get into. But I'm hoping that I fall in love more with the story and like what's actually going on. I'm curious to read more about what's going to end up happening when this boy group does get canceled because of the actions of like the eldest member. I'm just curious to see where this could be going. And you know, as someone who really enjoys K-pop, it is really cool to read about like the K-pop fandom culture and to like understand so many of the references that this author's referencing. So like, that's cool. But otherwise, it's been going all right so far. I'm just going to continue reading in the car while I wait for my sister. And then we do have a ton of trash bags. I don't know if you can see all of these, but these are all full of like clothes that we're going to be donating to Value Village. We're probably going to pick up something to eat. I don't know, but I'm hoping that I can get through most of this book today. Like, I would love to be able to finish this today. So that's the plan.
Lately I've been thinking about you. Made me wanna try and undo everything that hurt you bad and made you sad. Sorry I was bitter. Lately I've been thinking about you. Made me wanna try and undo everything that hurt you bad and made you sad. Sorry I was bitter. I'm sorry I couldn't be better for you. I'm sorry I couldn't be better for you. Yeah. 난 아직 미안해 miles 난 아직 집 앞에 서 있어 아직 기억이 나 It's bittersweet now 하루 지나가도 I ain't sleeping in now
Hey, hello. I wanted to do a quick update because it is now almost 7 o'clock at night. Earlier today, me and my sister, we went to Red Robin for lunch, which was really good. I haven't gone to Red Robin in like literally forever. And I got one of these new burgers that they had there that was like smashed avocado with bacon and like melted Swiss cheese and onions and tomatoes. It was so good. And then afterwards, we had the troop talk this afternoon, which I totally forgot that I even scheduled that on Patreon today. So we did that at 3 o'clock. It was so much fun. Like, it was so great to hang out with everybody on my Patreon. Rachel got to like tell the story of her engagement and stuff. It was really sweet. And ever since the troop talk ended, I've just been sitting on the couch reading The Band, and I actually just finished it. This book is only 200 pages, so it's a little bit shorter than I even thought that it was gonna be. But honestly, thank God that it was only 200 pages because I was considering DNFing this book so many times while I was reading it right now. Like, after I hit the 100 page mark, I was like, you know, like, I'm just really not enjoying this. Like, should I just DNF it? But then I just decided because it's only 200 pages, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna skim read through to the end and try to see, you know, like if this book improves or what's going on. I don't know, this book just didn't work for me. And it sucks because I want to love this book because I think I appreciate what the author is trying to do. I do like the discussion about, you know, cancel culture and what it's like to live your life in the eyes of the public and how much pressure can come with that and how it can take a toll on your mental health. I like a lot of the conversations that are happening in this book. I just felt so disconnected from this story because of the writing style. And even though I like these discussions about K-pop, especially because K-pop is something that I'm really interested in, but I haven't read any books really that talk about K-pop, at least not as much as I would want to. And so it really sucked that I didn't enjoy this. I just felt so disconnected from every single character in this book, like not only from the protagonist, who I still feel like I don't even really know the protagonist very well. I feel like we never really got to know any members of this band that well, and I really feel like the story is not really about this band at the end of the day. Like, it is, but it isn't. I also feel like the ending got a little bit like unhinged, or it felt like it was trying to get unhinged, but even the unhinged scenes I just found to be so boring. It was like a lot of the stuff just got glossed over that I wanted more detail, and like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I just really didn't like the writing style in this. I think that's my biggest issue with it. So it's such a bummer that this didn't work for me. I'm probably gonna end up giving this like 2 stars. Like, it wasn't terrible. It was definitely an improvement over the last book that I just read, but also I feel like I should have just DNF'd this and saved myself the time. So like, what the heck? I had a 1 star and now a 2 star. Like, this is not how I was expecting this vlog to go and how 2024 is not supposed to be going this way for me. I'm so frustrated. Anyways, I think I'm going to try and make this nochi. This is from Trader Joe's. I don't know, but I've been wanting to try this for a while because I got it from Trader Joe's like a few weeks ago now, and I totally forgot that it was in the freezer. So I think I'm gonna warm these up, make this for dinner, and then maybe start on something else tonight.
Can't explain how, yeah. 좀 더 잘할걸 같이 있을 때 I should've said it 말할걸 미안하지만 난 이제 moving on and on 이제 삶도 지쳐 think it's time we move along, yeah. Baby, lately I've been thinking.
Hello, it has been about 24 hours since the last time that I updated this vlog, but I did want to let you know that I have started on Kill for Me, Kill for You. I'm almost 100 pages in. I'm 94 pages in right now, and I wanted to update you because I am really enjoying this so far. This is like one of those thrillers that has the setup of, you know, like kind of like Strangers on a Train. It has a very similar vibe to The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, which is like one of my favorite thrillers ever. In this story, we are following from the point of view of a number of different characters. So far, we've been following from the perspective of about 3 characters, and it looks like about 100 pages in, I'm about to get a 4th perspective. But we're following this one character named Amanda, we have another character named Ruth that we're following, and then we're also following from the point of view of a detective whose name is Pharaoh. But this woman, Amanda, that we're following, she has kind of a really sad story because her 6-year-old daughter was murdered, and then her husband, shortly after, like a week after her 6-year-old daughter was murdered, her husband killed himself. And so she is just really going through it, and she's having a really hard time, and she wants to get revenge against this man who killed her daughter. One night when she goes to this support group, she meets this woman who is named Wendy, even though they're using like anonymous names in the group, but she meets this woman named Wendy at the support group, and Wendy is also going through some shit because she believes believes that this man has killed her daughter. And so it's gonna be a situation where Amanda and Wendy, they're gonna be like working together to like kill for each other because they want to get revenge against these men who have killed their daughters. And so we not only get Amanda's perspective in this book, but then we also follow from the point of view of this character named Ruth. And it's really interesting because she doesn't seem to have any connection with the other storylines, or at least not that I can figure out so far. Basically, Ruth is this woman who's 39 years old. She has this husband named Scott that she's really in love with, and she really wants to have a baby at some point soon. But then on the first chapter that we're following from her point of view, there's like a break-in in their home and there's glass shattered everywhere and she gets knocked out and stabbed a bunch of times. And when she wakes up, the detectives are letting her know that she's like the third victim from who they believe to be as like a serial killer because he's killed 2 other women, but for some reason he didn't kill her. And so they're trying to figure out like why he didn't kill her, but yet he still attacked her. And so they're trying to figure that out. And then we also follow from the point of view of the detective Pharaoh, who's the detective that's working on Ruth's case. So like something tells me these stories are going to be connected in some type of way, but I can't really figure it out yet. But I am having a really great time with this. I feel like the characterization is done really well. I feel like the story has been very fast paced so far. I was only planning on reading about like 50 pages tonight, but then I kept being like, okay, well, one more chapter. I just need to read one more chapter because it's like one of those thrillers that just reads very fast. I feel like I already am like excited to get to know like what the heck is going on in this story. I really love the kind of like strangers on a train setup where we have like characters who are going to try to like kill people for each other. I think it's a really interesting trope that I really like in thrillers, and so far this one feels really well done. It's also just really sad, you know, it's really sad to have to follow these 2 female characters that have both lost their daughters, and so it's awful. Like I just feel so bad for these poor mothers who have to like live in this world where their daughters were murdered and taken from them and these men are just walking free. I just feel like the characters are done very well in this so far, so I'm having a really great time with this. I can't wait to read more of it. Tomorrow I kind of have an early morning. I mean, tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I'm actually going to be going down, driving like about an hour and a half south because I'm going to be spending New Year's Eve with my friend Brittany and like her whole family, and they do like a really fun, you know, like Chinese dinner every New Year's Eve. So we're going to go to this really nice Chinese restaurant that I've never been to before, and then I'm going to be spending New Year's Eve over at her house and having like a celebration with her family. I think it's going to be so much fun. I don't know if I'm going to have any time to read tomorrow on New Year's Eve, but I will be vlogging the weekend and I will update you with thoughts once I get back into this because it's so good so far. With the final update of this vlog because I have just finished reading Kill for Me, Kill for You. This last weekend was really fun over the like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day weekend. I drove down south and I spent it with my friend Brittany and her family, and it was so much fun. I know I didn't end up vlogging too much, but it's because we had so much going on. We were playing card games. We went to this really fancy restaurant called China City that ended up being so freaking good. Like it was absolutely delicious and I'm still thinking about it. And then it was really great because on New Year's Day, we went to this little coffee shop that was local there that I've never been to before. We got some iced coffee and then we were just reading in there for like about 30 minutes to an hour. So it was really nice. I got the chance to read a lot during the weekend. And then today after getting home, I was able to finish the last 100 pages or so. And like, I really loved this. I feel like this is one of those thrillers that it was really hard for me to put this book down. So many times, like I kept thinking about how I just wanted to get back into reading it because some of these chapters were just so intense. Like the way it goes back and forth with these scenes. I think ratings wise, wise, I don't know if it was quite a 5-star read for me. I think it's probably closer to like a 4.5 stars. I know I'm being so picky about it, but I don't think it was a 5-star book for me. I think it was about a 4.5, but a 4.5 is amazing. Like, I'm so glad I loved this as much as I did. There were a few twists at the end of this book. Like, one of them I kind of saw coming, and I saw that coming. Like, I see what you did there, but then there were 2 other twists that I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? So I was really surprised that this author was able to surprise me in this way. I just had a lot of fun with this. I really do love the like strangers on a train kind of trope in thrillers, right? Where 2 characters are meeting and they're planning to kill for each other. Like, I think that's a really fun trope in books that I usually end up loving, but I love that this author even took it a step further and added some extra like little twisty elements to it. Like, I loved how we got that 3rd perspective from the character Ruth, like with her husband, and the whole situation with them was like a really interesting addition to the story, and it was really fun trying to figure out how Ruth's chapters were connected to the other 2 women. And even though this book is like 340 pages, like it is a little bit on the lengthier side for a thriller, but I absolutely flew through this book. Like, every time I was picking it up, I was able to read so quickly because it's just one of those thrillers that is really perfectly paced, in my opinion. It's just so easy to find yourself flying through the pages of this book because it's written in a way that's just really engaging. I just love this feeling, you know, like I've really missed the feeling of like reading a thriller and just being on the edge of your seat the entire time, flipping the pages and you can't wait to see where the story's going. Like, it's been a long time since I've felt this excited about a thriller that I was reading. I mean, I had so much fun with this book, and I would definitely recommend checking it out when it publishes in March. This is the kind of book that you read and it kind of like reminds me why I love reading thrillers in the first place, you know? Because I feel like for the most part, 2023 was kind of a rough year for me in terms of thrillers. Like, there were so many thrillers that I read last year that I found to be so disappointing. And so I'm so happy that I'm starting off 2024 with such a solid thriller, because part of me was starting to think like, oh my god, like maybe it's like I've read it all, maybe I can't be surprised anymore. But this was such a great book. I'm so glad that this ended up being my favorite thing that I was reading for this video. I was starting to worry, you know, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this video is just going to be a complete flop. And so out of the 3, you know, 2024 arcs that I read in this video, I would definitely recommend Kill for Me, Kill for You. I'm so glad that the thriller arc that I was reading ended up being a great one. Let me know if you have any interest in reading any of these 3 books. Let me know how 2024 is going for you so far. How was your first read of the year if you already had it? And if you haven't read your first book of the year yet, then let me know what you're thinking about reading. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. I know Winterween is going to be kicking off very soon after I post this vlog, so you can look forward to that. I think the first Winterween vlog is going to be going up on the 7th of January is what I'm planning, and in that vlog I'm going to be including the like music video that we filmed for Winterween, so you can definitely look forward to that coming very soon. I'm so excited! Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!